So, what happens when a multi-billion-dollar company is built not on technology, but on pure charisma? When some of the smartest investors in the world fall so in love with a story that they forget to ask a simple question: does the machine actually work? Well, that right there is the heart of the Theranos saga. And this is what's so wild. We're not just talking about a failed startup. Elizabeth Holmes got some of the biggest names in retail and even the US military to roll out technology that her own team knew was a complete sham. I mean, the stakes just could not have been higher. So let's back up. Where did this all begin? We have to look at the initial idea, that incredible, world-changing promise that built this entire house of cards. And you have to admit, the pitch was brilliant. Imagine this. No more big, scary needles. No more giving vial after vial of blood. Nope. Just one single drop from a finger prick could supposedly unlock a whole universe of your health data. This was going to change healthcare for everyone and blow up the $75 billion lab industry. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want a piece of that? And here's the kicker that made the story irresistible. This idea came from a 19-year-old Stanford dropout. The narrative was just perfect. You had this young, visionary genius, the next Steve Jobs, right, who was going to change the world. All right, so how do you take a compelling story and build it into a Silicon Valley giant? This is where the myth and the money get really, really big. Investors just threw money at the company, based almost purely on this vision. We are talking about over $700 million in cash from people who were completely captivated by the story Holmes was selling. And all that cash led to this. At its absolute peak, Theranos had a staggering $9 billion valuation. This wasn't just another startup, it was a titan. And its founder was suddenly the youngest self-made female billionaire on the planet. So how did they pull off that kind of credibility? Well, look at this board. It's like a who's who of Washington, D.C., not a tech company. You've got Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, powerful people. But here was the critical flaw. None of them had any real background in medicine or science. They couldn't properly check the technology, which gave Holmes all the cover she needed. And to make it all feel real to you and me, they inked deals to put these Theranos wellness centers inside huge chains like Walgreens and Safeway. All of a sudden, it seemed totally legit, like it was ready to go. The future of healthcare felt like it was right down the street, next to the pharmacy aisle. But while the world was seeing a revolution in healthcare, inside the walls of Theranos, a completely different story was playing out. That shiny public image was just a carefully built mask, hiding a total mess. This slide right here gets to the heart of the lie. They pitched this magical little box, their Edison machine. But the reality? For most of their tests, they were secretly using regular, off-the-shelf machines made by their competitors, like Siemens. They promised revolutionary accuracy, but their own tech was failing basic quality checks and spitting out results that were dangerously wrong. So how in the world do you keep a $9 billion lie from falling apart? Well, you fake the data you show investors. You put on these flashy demos that aren't actually real. And maybe most importantly, you create this intense culture of fear. Anyone who dared to question things or speak up was threatened and intimidated by an army of lawyers. But look, you just can't keep a lid on something this big forever. Sooner or later, the truth starts to seep out. And when it finally did for Theranos, wow, the whole thing came crashing down just as fast as it went up. And I mean, the dominoes fell fast. It all kicked off when a reporter named John Carreyrou published a bombshell investigation in the Wall Street Journal. That story brought in the regulators, who confirmed the technology was a disaster. Then the SEC came in, charging Holmes and her partner Sunny Balwani with massive fraud. And just like that, within a few years of that first article, the company was gone. And this, for me, is where the story goes from a business fraud to something much, much darker. This isn't just about investors losing money anymore. In an attempt to cover their tracks, Theranos had to void 2 entire years of blood test results. Just let that sink in. Real people were making critical health decisions, life and death decisions, based on data that the company knew was complete garbage. So, the company's gone. What's next? Well, the final chapter is all about the fallout. It's about accountability, not just for the people at the top, but for the whole Silicon Valley mindset that let this happen in the first place. And the consequences were very real. The founder and CEO, Elizabeth Holmes, was found guilty on multiple counts of fraud. Her sentence? More than 11 years in federal prison. And she wasn't the only one. Her former partner and the company's president, Sunny Balwani, was also held responsible. He actually got an even longer sentence, nearly 13 years for his role in the whole scheme. Which really leaves us with this huge, nagging question. How did all of these brilliant, experienced investors pour hundreds of millions of dollars into a company without doing the most basic homework? I mean, how do you not verify that the core technology actually works? Were they just so blinded by the incredible story that they didn't even want to look? And ultimately, that's what the Theranos story forces us to look at. You know that whole move fast and break things mantra, or fake it till you make it? Sure, maybe that works if you're building a photo sharing app. But what happens when you apply that same logic to people's health, to their lives? At what point does it cross the line from ambition into criminal negligence? The story of Theranos gives us a pretty clear and pretty terrifying answer.